Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to episode 6 of Bonding and Beer. I am your host, Rolando Nunez, and today's topic is going to be Silane and Concoctions. Let's go! All right, so let's talk a little bit about what I have been up to. I ran the Boston Marathon. I had been training for many months to run the Boston Marathon, which is the last marathon of a cycle that I had been working on for the past 8-9 years. The idea was when I began this journey to run the Berlin Marathon, Tokyo Marathon, London Marathon, Chicago Marathon, New York Marathon, and of course Boston. And I have accomplished that. But I want to share a story that happened while I was on my way to the starting line. I got on a bus with a bunch of people that were running the Boston Marathon, and there were fundraisers for different charities. So was I. I was raising money for a charity called the Joe Andruzzi Foundation that takes care of children with cancer and their families. So this bus was filled with people, different charities, and, it was extremely cool. But one thing that happened was that every person in the bus had the opportunity to get up and say why they were running the marathon. So first person gets up and says, I'm running the Boston Marathon because I was diagnosed with kidney failure a year ago. I was, basically dying, and my biggest concern was what was going to happen to my kids, to my wife, and here I am today running the Boston Marathon. And then another person got up and said, well, I'm running the Boston Marathon because my wife had a double mastectomy due to cancer, and she's a survivor, and she is cancer-free right now, and that's why I'm running the Boston Marathon. So everybody had a cool story, something that was meaningful. When it was my turn, it was like, oh, I'm running the Boston Marathon so I could complete a cycle of races and get a stupid medal. And it actually gave me a different perspective of why we do things, and also a different perspective on life. It was a life-changing moment for me right there on that bus. So I wanted to share this with you because even though we want to make this podcast informative and somewhat entertaining. Sometimes there are things that happen to each one of us that are definitely worthwhile sharing. And so I wanted to share that with you. I have a lot of respect for the people that do fundraising. And right now I feel like the reason I ran that race was not the proper reason, but I did the fundraising, and I am very proud of being able to support an extraordinary cause. If you want to know more about what I do and where I'm at and what beer I'm drinking and which part of the world I'm traveling and lecture, you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is @RolandBond. But most important, I want you guys to follow. I want you guys to subscribe to our YouTube page. I want you guys to, share the content that we're creating for you. We want to hear from you. You can ask your questions. You can reach out. We're wide open to suggestions, to, if you have a beer that you want me to try and review, feel free to make your recommendation. We're here for you. We're doing this for you. But also, we're doing it because we have an opportunity to drink. And I never waste an opportunity to drink. Let's go. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about silane. Okay, silane as a standalone product material that is used to bond to glass ceramics. And also we're going to be talking about silane containing products such as adhesives and these primers that combine different monomers along with silane, so the primers can be used in different substrates. And when you have products that have a combination of different monomers, so it can expand the clinical applications, it brings a level of convenience. So unfortunately, silane is very delicate, and it doesn't react well when it's housed in a place where there are other components. And we're going to be talking about that, the type of reaction that silane suffers during these when it's placed in a concoction. We have a guest today that will talk about this extensively. His name is Dr. Qiang Ma, and he's our go-to guy when it comes to silane research and bonding to glass ceramics. He's a member of our research and development department, and he's very well versed. He's done a tremendous amount of testing, and he's working on new formulations. So he's going to be here today sharing some of his knowledge. But before we get into that, let's look at that beer that we brought today. Let's look at it. Let's see what's what. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like this little hat here that was a gift given to us, it says right here, it's very clear, no cerveza, no trabajo. This is where it's at. You don't give me a beer, I don't record anything. So let's go. All right, so here we have our guest, Dr. Qiang Ma, and we also have our beer, which is Tsingtao. Well, Dr. Ma, thank you for coming. It is a pleasure to have you here. And we're going to have a beer together. I did bring Tsingtao. Is that how you pronounce it?
Qingdao.
Okay, so I got this one because this is from China. And Dr. Ma is from China. How about them apples? You know what I'm saying? What a coincidence. Did I plan for this? Absolutely not. This is just what happens here in beer and bonding. So this beer, Qingdao, is a beer that is made by a company in China called Qingdao Brewery. It's been around since 1903, and I want to say that is probably the most popular beer outside of China. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
You can find this pretty much anywhere in the world.
I guess so.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one is like United States Bud Light. This is Chinese version of Bud Light.
Yeah.
So we know it's not going to be good. But it's not about the beer, this brand. It's about the beer style.
Okay.
This is a very weak beer.
Okay.
But it's meant to be. Okay. It is by design weak and refreshing.
What is the strongest beer?
In my
or
triple IPA.
Triple IPA. Okay.
10%.
Okay.
This is 4.7%.
Right.
So it's weak.
Okay.
It's not bitter. The flavor is, it's just a refreshing beer, which is fine. Like I said, in the summer, you're outside grilling some steak. This will work fine.
Right.
Okay. The description here, directly from the brewery's website, says unique and prolonged fermentation to create a crisp and refreshing beer with malty aroma. Now, lagers tend to be light. They tend to be, refreshing. And if that is your cup of tea, that's great. I enjoy lagers depending on, the time of the year. When during the summer, lagers are great. And, right now, the weather here in Chicago is getting interesting. So this is definitely going to be an interesting beer to have today. Okay? So let's crack it open. All right, Dr. Ma, let's do this. That's a beautiful sound, Dr. Ma. I'm going to open the other one because I'm assuming we're not sharing.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Beer sharing is a thing where I buy 2 beers and I give you one. Both drinking the same beer, that's not going to happen. Not on my watch, that's for sure.
Not in my culture as well.
Yes, thank you. It's a cultural thing. So I'm going to basically pour your beer here. You know, I've been pouring this beer, many beers in this show, and I have screwed that up tremendously, but I think I got it right this time. Check it out. Wow. That's a pretty good pour, ain't it? Here you go, sir. And now I'm going to pour mine. I'm going to pour mine. And we're going toast. All right? This is Tsingtao. Let's see what's what.
Sip, 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 sip.
I'm going to give it a sniff first. You know, it looks like a lager. It's, you know, kind of like light yellow. It's very clear. It doesn't smell like much. I cannot sense any kind of hint. It does smell like it's kind of yeasty, okay? Straightforward lager.
Sip, sip.
Yeah, it's not a good one. It is not, brother. You know, I got to tell you. I mean, you guys in China do a lot of fantastic stuff. You got technology, but beer, that's not your cup of tea. And I'm not trying to insult you in any way. I don't want to create some kind of, you know, diplomatic warfare here. But no. Hey, but if this is something you like, lagers, 4.7% or low alcohol content, this is something that you will definitely enjoy. This is very refreshing. I will give it a score at the end of the show, so stick around. Remember, you need to follow, you need to subscribe, and we want to hear from you. All right, Dr. Ma. So, you know, again, thank you for coming. And I know that, you know, you and I have been discussing how we're going to conduct this interview. I don't think it's an interview. I think it's more of a conversation. I think interviews are interesting, but this is not about, you know, answering a number of questions. This is more about sharing the knowledge. I believe, and a lot of people in this building believe, that you are an expert in what you do. And we have a lot of respect for what you do. Your research is always sound. And the cool thing about you is that you provide your results, and it's not, I think you are very unbiased. You are like, these are my results. This is what I got. You're honest. You're not trying to make one product look better than the other. You're always looking to find an explanation of why you got those results. So I appreciate that. Now, in your words, what is silane?
Silane, in dentistry, you know, usually we say it's organosilane. It's a coupling agent, or in another word, it's a surface treatment chemical. All right, so it will react with the hydroxyl-rich surface, like glass ceramic.
Okay. So when you say coupling agent, it actually unites the inorganic glass ceramic with the organic polymer chemistry cement, correct?
Yes, so it will chemically react with the glass ceramic surface.
And it will also react.
It also react with the macellary-based dental resin monomer.
Okay, so it's interesting because those are two different worlds.
Yeah.
And this product is capable of linking them together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So clinically, I want to say that silane is the bonding agent for glass ceramic. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
Right? But, you know, because, like, I know that in the lab, in the R&D lab, sometimes when you say adhesive, we're referring to dental adhesive. Mm-hmm. But when we say primer, we're referring to products like silane or MDP containing primers like Z Prime Plus, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But they all do the same. They bond.
They bond, yeah.
Okay. So silane is your bonding agent for glass ceramics. It's not an adhesive, but it does the bonding, correct?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, silane does come in different presentations nowadays. All right? It comes in I want to call it just silane, and also comes in multi-primer presentations, and also comes in adhesives. What are the differences between those three presentations?
Okay, I guess first I need to clarify that silane won't work as a silane. It only works in the hydrolyzed form.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's in one bottle system, that's usually pre-hydrolyzed.
What does hydrolyzing mean?
Usually organosilane, it's methoxyl based.
Okay.
Alright, so that means it will not directly react with hydroxyl group in
the
glass
ceramic.
Yes.
Right.
So it has to be acid treated to make silanol, which has the OH group, and it
Which will react.
yes, with the glass ceramic.
So you need the freaking silanols, bruh. Cheers to silanols. Otherwise, bonding to glass ceramics will not happen. And that is, it is clear now. It is clear. Clear as air. We keep going. Now,
Okay.
we have multi-primers.
Right. So
okay,
sorry,
go
let
on.
me finish.
Okay. Apparently, I'm interrupting this dude. Okay, go on.
So for one bottle system, it has to be pre-hydrolyzed. So that means it's already in a silanol form.
Yes.
It will ready to react with the glass ceramic. All right, that's the one bottle system. And then for multi-primer, like you said, which is also one bottle system, but I believe the multi-primer means it contains MDP as well,
Yes.
which can react with zirconia.
Yes.
Yeah. So that may have a problem because when silanol is not very stable. All right. It has to, because in acidic conditions, silanol is not very stable. So if MDP is also an acidic monomer, so they may react to each other if there's any water involved in a one bottle system.
Okay. So, and we're not going to name products, we're not going to say we're not going to name products because, people could do their own research. If you have a question, you can definitely contact us, reach out. We want to hear from you. 100%. We're not going to name products, but there are a couple of multi-primers out there that have MDP and silane in the same bottle. Now, the question is, if I buy a multi-primer system and it's fresh, when you look at the expiration date and it's fresh, how long does it take for that silane to start reacting with MDP in the bottle and start losing its efficacy to bond?
It only needs a few hours.
For real?
Yeah. So it will deactive.
Wow. So it could actually not work.
Yeah.
Oh, and have you seen this in the lab?
Oh yeah. So we test a lot of different type of multi-primers.
Sip, sip,
So it's really hard to know before you test it, because it won't tell you what's in there, right?
Right.
It only tells you it contains silane, it contains MDP, but you don't know if it has water or not. So yeah, you don't know it until you test it, and then a lot of those doesn't work.
So, but I talk to a lot of people that use these multi-primers, and they tell me, Rolando, my veneers, they don't fall off. They're in place. And usually I tell them they're in place because you etch them before you do the cementation. You etch it with hydrofluoric acid. Let's say the veneer is made out of lithium disilicate, okay? They etch the lithium disilicate with hydrofluoric acid, and then they apply their concoction, and then they bond it to the tooth, and it's in place. They're not going to fall immediately, right?
Yeah.
Because
No.
there is bond mechanical bond from the etching, right? But the silane in the concoction may not have reacted properly to the glass ceramic, correct?
Correct. So the purely mechanical retention will make the bond strong, at least at first, right? So you cannot see the fall off immediately, but you don't know what happened, after some time.
Right. So, the thing about clinical dentistry is that if you don't see the failure immediately, a lot of clinicians feel, okay, this is working, they don't look at things, failures long term, and that's why I get a lot of people telling me, oh, but my veneers are still in place. I'm like, yeah, because they are micromechanically bonded. They're not chemically bonded, so it's interesting to know that the silane is deactivated and then it loses its efficacy. Now, what about adhesives that contain silane? Because we have adhesives in the market that basically, companies are telling you only need one bottle for everything, for bonding to the tooth, bonding to, let's say the adhesive contains MDP, you can bond to zirconia, and then it has silane, and then you can bond to glass ceramic, and it has polyacrylic acid, and then you can bond to glass ionomer, and then if you put it on coffee, it makes cappuccino. You know what I'm saying? Are these things effective?
No. So the silane in adhesive, it doesn't work, for sure. Because usually in universal adhesive, it contains water, right? And also contains MDP, like acidic monomer.
Or some organophosphate.
Right. And then, so the water will hydrolyze the MDP to make, H+, which is the acid. And then acid will first will hydrolyze the silane, and then it will continue hydrolyze silane, to deactivate the silane.
So the idea is a good idea. The principle is interesting, but the execution is poor.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Even you have some sort of like stabilizer, it won't stabilize. Over time it will deactivate and it will,
And you have seen this in your testing.
Yeah.
So every time I talk to people and they ask me, and I say these things, hey, if you're going to use something, just use silane just silane. And then we start talking about these concoctions. They get all rowdy. They get all like, whoa, how do you know? Because he's doing the testing. He's sharing the information. He is telling us, hey, this is what I'm looking. This is what I'm observing, and I'm reporting without any bias. Do you think that having a silane in a single bottle, coexisting with other things, you think it's possible?
Is it possible? It is possible, like to put everything together, but does it work? For now, no.
Do you think we're going to get to the point where it's actually going to work?
That's hard to say, actually. So, but, I'm also looking for a solution to make that happen. But so far, there's no luck for me to, put silane with other things together, make it work.
It's funny you say luck. So you're saying all the knowledge you're using is just a thing of luck.
Like you have several ideas, right? And then you have to pick which one to try first.
Right. And so far,
no.
It has.
No.
You know what's also not working? Your beer drinking abilities. Why don't you take a little chug of that? You're making me look really bad.
I'm just keep talking.
Yeah. Take a chug. Now we're talking. Let's go. All right. Now, I know you lecture to clinicians, which is awesome because you're a chemist, and to me, that I love when scientists lecture to clinicians. I think there is something in there, me listening to Dr. Sa, me listening to you, me listening to Eric, who was also a guest here in one of our episodes. I think it's awesome. What would you tell a clinician that asks you, okay, this is all great what you've explained here. Make a recommendation. What should I use?
So the recommendation is when you bond to glass ceramic,
Sip, sip,
use a
sip.
separate silane.
Use a standard, yeah,
A separate silane application.
right.
Yeah.
All right. And you've tested that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we're not going to talk about your most recent results, which are fascinating, the ones that you share with me on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to do that, but I'm going to ask you a question. The fact that a separate silane is available, does it mean that it's going to work?
No.
So it's also product dependent.
Yes.
So you've seen how some standalone silane products from different companies, they behave differently, right?
Yes. So, like the product we talk about.
Yeah, we're not
Right.
gonna name
Right.
names. We're not gonna name names. Go on.
So I saw that would work, right? Because
We all thought it would work.
right, it's
Right.
a single bottle, but when we test it, it doesn't work. So
Do you have any clue or any idea why it didn't work?
it's hard to say. So when I doing the lecture, a lot of people ask like why it doesn't work for
Right.
different topics. So I gave them a quote, like when we talk about the family, all the families, if they're happy, they're alike. But if they're not happy, they must have their own reasons.
Right.
Yeah, so same like the product. If they work well, that means they all alike. They are good. If it doesn't work, they must have their own reason. There's so many reasons to make it doesn't work.
Right.
Right. For this one, maybe like the pH. I test the pH, which is different than the SDS indicated.
So the SDS said that the pH was somewhere around 6 and 7, I believe, right?
Like 5 to 8.
And this one is what?
I tested at 4.5.
That's lower than that they were claiming.
Right.
So it could be related to maybe storage or maybe like shipping or something, right? It could be, right?
Could be anything.
Could be
Right.
anything.
But it's hard to give a conclusion like why, because we don't know what's exactly in there.
Dr. Ma dropping some knowledge and also some philosophy. I got to tell you a funny story.
let me-
First,
yeah.
okay, go ahead. Now it's your turn to drink. Now,
Sip, sip, sip.
I had a patient that came to my office. One of my first patients. I used to have an office in a town that was a farmer's town. And I had my first patient, one of my first patients came in with a broken porcelain on a crown. It was a porcelain fused to metal crown. The porcelain was broken. It was an anterior tooth, a central incisor, so I had to repair it, right? So, I went back to my notes from dental school. I was very, very new. And it said, do not etch intraorally with hydrofluoric acid. Use a burr to create some sort of micromechanical roughness. And then apply silane. And then apply an adhesive. It said, cure the adhesive and then place the composite. And I did that. And, the restoration looked good. So the patient said, okay, how much do I owe you? And I gave him a number. He said, okay, we'll be back with payment. And I'm like, okay. So he left the office and then came back with a couple of chickens.
Oh, chickens.
He paid me with chicken, bro.
Live chickens.
Yes. He gave me 3 chickens and a little bit of cornbread. It was awesome, dude. Live chickens. What am I supposed to do with that?
Right. How do you deal with the chickens?
I don't remember. I think I don't, but I'm just saying, this is the kind of thing I go through. All right, so let's agree that using a separate silane is the best option. But also, let's consider that not all separate silanes behave the same. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about specifics. We, as a company, have a single bottle silane, which is pre-hydrolyzed. okay, like you just described. We also have a 2-bottle system, okay, which, how does that work?
So 2 bottle system. 1 bottle is acid, the other bottle is non-hydrolyzed silane. So you mix them 1 to 1, right? And then the acid will hydrolyze that non-hydrolyzed silane, and then make it work.
So you're hydrolyzing right there and then?
Yes.
Okay, in situ.
Yes.
So that is extremely fresh.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you had to choose one of the 2 systems, which one would you choose and why?
Oh, I guess it's I mean, first I would say like both system works, right? So
Sip, sip, sip.
which one I choose depending on like how many glass ceramic restoration I apply every day, right? So if I have high volume, I probably gonna use the pre-hydrolyzed silane 1
Single
bottle
bottle,
system.
yeah.
So which is convenience. I can finish the bottle in quick.
Right.
Right. So I don't need to worry about expiration or anything. But if I have like low volume or slow volume every day, so I'm probably gonna choose the 2 bottle system. So which every time 1 to 1 makes me like the fresh silane, so I can use to my patient, and I don't need to worry about. I mean, it has a longer expiration date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the expiration date will be one factor, and the restoration volume is also another factor.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to provide something called row tips. The row tips are not pro tips, are row tips.
Oh, okay.
These are the tips that I provide to people. And the only reason I do this is because hopefully they're going to get something out of this conversation. So a little bit of a clinical tip. So row tips, come here. Row tips. Number 1, use a separate silane, okay? Let's try to avoid concoctions or adhesives that contain silane. Dr. Ma has explained that those concoctions, the silane in those concoctions or those adhesives will be deactivated by the presence of water and monomers that have a low pH. We're done with that first row tip. Second row tip. Come here. Second row tip. Depending on the volume of restorations, you can choose between a 2-bottle system silane or a single bottle silane system. The single bottle is pre-hydrolyzed. If you're doing a lot of restorations, using a single bottle will make sense because of the volume. Okay, you're gonna basically use it faster and you don't have to worry too much about expiration date. However, if you're not doing that many restorations, you may want to think about using a 2-bottle system. A 2-bottle system where you will mix 1 to 1. That's the proportion, that's the ratio. You are hydrolyzing the silane right there and then. It's fresh, and now you have a longer shelf life of your system because it is not pre-mixed, okay? And the third row tip, come here. Third row tip, follow the instructions. Follow manufacturer's instructions. I always say, if we follow the instructions, we're going to be just fine. Don't you agree? I'm talking about our IFU.
Oh, yeah.
If you follow our IFUs, will it work?
Yes.
So other manufacturers, they're screwing up their IFUs too? Wow. Okay. That goes for the ages. Dr. Ma, let's drink to that. I ran out of beer. This is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, so let's review this beer, Dr. Ma. As you can see, we had to put another one. It is 9:30 in the morning. I mean, I gotta tell you, Dr. Ma, this is awesome. They allow us to drink.
That's good.
I know. And also, it's official. I have an email. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they can't do anything. And by they, I mean the people that run this place. Cheers, my friend. All right, so I'm going to give this, why don't you give this a review first? Tell me what you think and give it a score.
About the beer?
Yes.
I mean, the beer to me is it brings me a lot of good memories.
Okay.
It doesn't matter about how taste the beer is, but it just
So from a score from 1 to 5, how much do you give it?
5.
Of course, because it has a sentimental value. Correct? And I appreciate that. In Venezuela, which is where I am originally from, we also have a crappy beer like this one. Just like this one. But every time I drink it, I give it a 5 because it brings back memories. Yeah. I'm going to be totally unbiased on this review. I have no sentimental value attached to this concoction. Okay? So, Tsingtao. Did it match the brewery description? Yes, it did. It is crisp.
Sip.
It's not really hoppy. It is very crisp. It is refreshing. It is light. It is it's a good representative of a lager, okay? Of a very mild lager, all right? From 1 to 5, I'm going to give it 0.5. Will I drink this again with Dr. Ma? Because I know he almost cried when I poured it because it brought him back memories from the homeland. If we get together again, I'll buy it again and I'll have a beer with him because I know he likes it. Otherwise, absolutely not. I'm not having this again. I'm not a fan of commercial beer. I am a fan of craft beer. I'm willing to give craft beer a chance and also appreciate the artisanal value of a bunch of guys in a garage brewing beer and creating a microbrewery and going out, and it is a kind of like an artistic expression. This is just mass produced, and whether it's from wherever it is, the U.S., China, Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, I'm not a big fan of commercial beer, but that's just me, okay? If this is your cup of tea, enjoy. What is the perfect scenario to enjoy this beer? With Dr. Ma. With Dr. Ma. Because I know he's enjoying it. You drank the whole thing. You're not testing anything today, are you?
No.
Absolutely not. All right, guys. So, I just want to say that this has been an interesting beer. Cut. Now, a friendly reminder, you can send your questions to bondingandbeer@gmail.com. You can send us an email, or you can find us on Instagram, and our handle is @bondingandbeer. We also have a YouTube page, Bonding and Beer, and you can subscribe to that. So you can contact us in, through so many different platforms. We want to hear from you. So we got a question here, Dr. Ma, from @DentalRoots. And the question is, do I need to apply adhesive after the silane?
Do I need to apply adhesive after silane?
From a bonding perspective, to enhance the bond, do I need that?
So I would say it's not necessary.
It's not necessary, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessary. However, if you apply an adhesive in order to help your cement flow better, kind of like it lubricates, okay? It acts as to change the surface a little bit so the cement flows better, it makes sense. But from a bonding perspective, it's not going to help at all, right?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, sir. Second question. This is from Christy Chandler from Arkadelphia in Arkansas. I don't understand if you say Kansas and then you put an A and an R before Kansas, it's not Arkansas. It's Arkansas. English is very complicated, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't understand at all.
I don't understand at all either. I just communicate. So let's go. How long after expiration is silane good for? This is a tricky question because if you say that you can use it for 3 months after that, we're going to cut this. The right answer is you should never use a product after the expiration date, okay?
Yes.
Say it.
You should never use the product after the expiration date.
We done here? Let's go.
Yeah. I finished it.
Yes. Question number 3. This is from Dental Muffins 2334. You know, when your name is Dental Muffin, I mean, the level of creativity of some of these people. Dental Muffin. I love it. It's awesome. You know, more power to you, Dental Muffin. You go and rock your name. This is not a question. You need to shave that mustache. Okay, you think I need to shave the mustache?
You should keep it.
Absolutely. A mustache is part of my personality, along with my hat and along with my beer. If I lose the beer, the hat, and the mustache, and then it is definitely not me.
Then I won't talk to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Listen, be sure to subscribe, okay? We have a YouTube page, Bonding and Beer. We have an Instagram account, @bondingandbeer. And you can contact us by email, bondingandbeer@gmail.com, okay? Our next episode, we're going to be talking about fiber posts. We're going to be talking about why fiber posts, when you should use them, if you should use them. You know, fiber posts are still around and they are popular. So let's talk a little bit about that. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening to our Bonding and Beer podcast. My name is Rolando Nunez. This is Qiang Ma, and it's been nothing but a pleasure. Let's go.
There's some like specific flavor I don't like.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe that. It's like, you know, some like nuts if you leave for a very long time. And
Stale
then, like,
nuts.
Yeah, that.
Okay, so
Something close.
okay,
That flavor,
so
like.
this is a stale nut for
Oh my
me.
God.
Okay.
All right.
All right.